Sasha.
And I'm Dahi.
This is DNA Slot Cards, and we are going to be doing a podcast with Jen Cunningham and Rodney.
Yeah, hi folks.
Welcome to our clubhouse.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I can already see some awesome pictures on the wall. But first of all, I just wanted to welcome you both. Really appreciate you guys coming on here, especially because we use and love the Omni Slot Box, and we just thought it was a good opportunity to have a bit of a chat and for you guys to be able to showcase what you're about and what you do.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So Sasha has some questions, and once we've sort of gotten through those, then feel free to take the floor and to add in whatever you want to show us. Hopefully we'll see some behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, we could take a little tour of the clubhouse and then maybe even get into the workshop.
Awesome. Sounds good. Okay, Sasha, take it away.
So can you give us a little history of how you both started in business together and why slot cars?
Okay, good question. Well, I've been doing slot cars for a very long time, and I have tried all forms of slot cars, everything from HO cars to wing cars and everything in between. And I really like digital racing, but I really like non-digital racing too. And many of my cars are vintage cars or very powerful cars that certainly can't run with a digital chip. So I moved from Southern California, where I had a commercial raceway with, at one point we had 5 tracks set up there, and we would have club racing 3 nights a week and Saturdays. And I moved to Arkansas to set up another business. And I knew that I had to bring just a couple of tracks. So I built a track that would run everything. So it's a digital track that I did some custom wiring on so that it could switch to run my analog cars. But it didn't work very well. And Rodney, who I met here, figured out how to make it work better.
Nice.
And then we designed a box to put the electronics in so that anyone could do this.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So you guys met there in Arkansas, is that right? You're saying?
Yeah. The first place I lived in Arkansas was a historic building. We needed a big place for my slot car tracks, and all the apartments were too small, except we rented a historic Southern mansion right downtown, built in 1840s, and set up our slot car tracks there, and started inviting neighbors and promoting slot car racing. We got an article in our local paper, and Rodney found us. He lived just a few blocks away, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's a small place, really, the world, isn't it? You always, bump into people, I guess, with similar interests, and when you're not expecting it a lot of the time.
Well, I sometimes wear shirts like this to help me find people.
Well, that's a great idea, actually. It's
kind of hard to make.
Yeah, we'll have to get a couple of those T-shirts. I like that.
Yeah, because Arkansas, Little Rock, where we live now, is a small city compared to San Diego. I try pretty hard to find people interested in slot cars. So I'm always promoting it. Now you guys do that really well with your YouTube channel. And I have a little YouTube channel, but I haven't made much use of that. I mostly get out into the real world and promote in person.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good plan.
Yeah.
What's your next question there, Sash?
What made you decide to start the manufacture of Omni Slot Box?
Okay. Well, actually, once Rodney fixed my track so that it worked better, I just used it for several years. But my main business is Nomad Raceways, where I take portable slot car tracks to events. And so I was busy traveling, and when I traveled, I would meet other slot racers and go to their club or commercial raceway.
Yeah.
But when COVID happened, that all stopped. I couldn't do my events.
Yeah.
So that gave me time to focus on an alternate business. And one of those was making Omni Slot Box from my own personal thing into a real business. So we have COVID to thank for that.
Well, I was just going to say it's we can complain about COVID in a lot of different ways, but I think it also has driven people to be innovative and also to come up with different ideas and ways of, continuing on with their business or coming up with something different. And it's also invigorated various hobbies, I think, as well. And slot cars being another one of them.
I think that's all very true, and it certainly worked that way for us. My wife found a way to work from home full time, so it's working very well for us.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, Sash, fire ahead.
We love our Omni Slot Box and think it's by far the best option out there for those are concerned and selling lies there. Can you let us know what's the Yukon about the Omni Slot Box?
Yeah, so it's basically just asking, I guess, we know what's the best option out there. But for those people, I guess, who are on the fence or considering different solutions, what makes the Omni Slot Box unique? I think that would be one.
Yeah, the Omni Slot Box was originally created for people like me that have many slot cars and a big variety of slot cars, and particularly slot cars that maybe were originally designed to be used on large club tracks or commercial tracks. Cars like that often have motors that draw much more current than can be managed with a decoder.
Yes.
Most of the digital analog switching alternatives use the same decoder that is used in the cars to power the track.
Yeah.
And so that limits you to only running cars that those decoders can handle.
Yeah.
In my case, that didn't work because, I'll show you the variety of cars that we run.
Okay.
Many cars that I like to run, which just can't do that. Also, I really like. I have controllers that are analog controllers that I really like, and the decoder-based systems use the same digital controllers as you would use in digital, and they're just. I think you get better control when driving analog with an analog controller.
Yeah.
Certainly, you can drive a bigger variety of cars, but also they have a different feel. Like Sasha's controller. Doesn't that work well?
Just ask Sasha how well she's doing since she got that controller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now we have currently we're making 3 different Omni Slot Boxes. The original one with the meters on it.
That's what we have, Jim. Am I correct in saying that?
Are you correct about?
That's the version we have. With the meters. Yeah.
And that is really the deluxe version because it'll run anything, and
Yeah.
It's nice to have the meters. The meters are not entirely necessary if you have a power supply right next to it, which also has meters.
Yeah.
So we developed the XMR, which has similar capability, but is cheaper. It's $200 less. And does everything the other box does, only it does not show, does not have meters. And now the new one that we come out with, the emulator, another $200 less, does use a decoder like others have done. Besides the lower cost, the other advantage of that, as long as you're comfortable with running basically home set plastic cars, that system is fine. The upside is that you can use the same digital controllers and even the same power supply. So it doesn't require you to buy anything else. But when we did a decoder-based system, we made sure that it was entirely plug and play. There's no connections to make. There's no soldering. It comes completely ready to go. And
awesome.
unlike the others, it is better protected against damaging the decoders. If you drop a screw on the track and short it out, or have a similar problem like that, you're running a metal chassis car perhaps that touches the track, the decoders will often fail in a decoder box. And Rodney found a way to build a decoder box which is better protected.
That's nice. How did you achieve that, to have that better protection?
Fuse. Just a car auto fuse.
Yeah. There's a fuse right on the face of the box, so that if something goes wrong, instead of blowing up a chip, you pop a fuse that costs a couple dollars. We send some spares with it, and you're ready to go again. I can move the camera and we can see each of these. Shall I do that?
If you could show, I wasn't even aware that you had that third option now as well. So that's even adds to the options.
Yeah, it's pretty new, and we've been so busy making and selling them that we haven't probably done the best job of letting the world know they're out there. But we can have a look at them now if you like.
Yeah, if you can, move that camera around and let's take a look. I'm curious myself.
Okay, so we can start from here, I suppose. So this is the original Omni Slot Box. With its meters and digital to analog switch. And the XMR, basically the same thing without the meters. And of course, they all come with a pre-wired modified CU. One of the reasons that we get much better power delivery from the Omni Slot Box is that the wires all the way through the system and inside the CU are much larger. And you can see we use a much larger connection.
It's very robust.
To connect them. The new ones also have this nice flat cable. Which can easily go under the track, and it's long enough to position your slot box, far underneath if you like. So those are the two true analog digital systems. Of course, you do need to use analog controllers with them, but you can run any kind of car. The new one is the emulator. We call it that because it's not really true analog; it's simulated analog. But it also comes fully wired. No need to do any soldering or connections. It comes with a very flexible flat cable.
Yeah.
And there's the fuses we spoke of right up top where you can see them.
Okay.
The switching
Yeah.
system also is, I think, simpler and easier to use than some of the others where you're switching back and forth to code
Yeah.
the lanes. And like all the boxes, they come with a comprehensive owner's manual.
Mm-hmm.
And that manual is also published on the website if you lose it and want to read it before you buy one.
Yeah, well, I think that's, I really like the idea of the fact that it is pre-wired, because there's a lot of people, I think, who would like to get one of these switchers, but maybe just don't have the skill set to wire that up or to be comfortable doing it. So I think it's a great idea that you've actually integrated that into the CU. Definitely. And
It's a little scary to solder to the circuitry in a Carrera CU. They're pretty delicate.
Yeah.
And soldering to the rails themselves in particular is really hard because the rails are stainless and they don't like to accept solder. So,
and what kind of price point is that new unit? Is it the emulator?
Yes, yeah. So we're $895, $695, and $495.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got the entire spectrum there, which I think really gives a lot of options. From our perspective, we wanted the one that could run everything. And I tell you what we found as well is I do like the digital readouts, and it, because they're very vivid and very bright. So even if you're stood back or you're focusing on something else, you can always see the light. You can always see the readouts, and I just like to have that extra layer. But you don't necessarily need it. It's just a nice to have, I guess. Another thing we found as well, Jim and Rodney, was the performance of our Carrera Digital has improved with the Omni Slot Box. So now when we switch to digital, where there was maybe some drops before, we don't have that anymore.
Yes, yeah, that is because the all of the wiring throughout the system, all the way through the track, is much larger, more robust, and the circuitry is just better. Thanks, Rodney.
Awesome.
Well, great job there. And
every connection is soldered and robust.
Definitely. I mean, from my perspective, I always like, when we're buying by quality. And for me, when we were unpacking everything and I saw the quality, the commercial grade, and the switches, connectivity, it just, inspires confidence straight away. You're not playing with something that's flimsy, that's, got wires hanging out of here and there. You can see that it's built at that commercial sort of grade, which is, I think, is one of the big things that attracted us to it.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to mention about the meters. Something that confuses a lot of people is we've got a voltmeter and an ammeter, and on the same screen. And of course, the volts will change as you adjust your power supply, and that affects speed and sensitivity of the cars. But the other meter, the ammeter, generally reads 0 or near 0 when there's no current running. But if you watch it as you drive, or watch it as someone else is driving, which might be better, you'll see the ammeter record different levels as you drive the car. And under acceleration, you'll see how the ammeter jumps up as the car draws more current, and that is that sort of illustrates cars that need that power. You can see how much power that they're taking. The Omni Slot Box can deliver really as much power as almost any slot car could use. But the ammeter will show you exactly what's being used.
I think that's a good feature to have as well. And I found that we've been using this and showing Sasha. She's really, obviously, she got stuck in, as you know, from testing the continuity of the lanes, etc., in the initial process to actually paying, what are the amps, voltage. So she does a check beforehand, and I think it makes it very easy to visualize what's going on. I mean, even down to the switch. You put it into the center, and you're in a safety area, so to speak. It's a nice big click across as well. I like that. It's solid.
We provide the continuity tool because some people do have a problem if they have a curved switch or they have their power taps crossed. We provide the tool to help them find that problem or know that they don't have a problem.
Yeah.
And it was good to see Sasha using it. That was actually the first time I actually saw someone or heard about someone using the tool. So it's good to see.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great. I think Sasha had a question actually related to the manufacturing. It was number 4 on your list there, wasn't it?
Yeah. How long does it take to manufacture one unit?
How long does it take to manufacture one unit? Well, there's 2 parts to that. The first one thing that we do is, of course, we hand make all of the wooden boxes that units are in, and between cutting up the wood and finishing it, I probably have about I'd say an hour and a half in that part of the box. Now, Rodney, how long does it take you to wire up an Omni Slot Box?
Well, the full afternoon, I'd say 30 to 35 hours. With the XMR, probably 25. And later, 15 probably.
Okay, so can you just repeat that? So it was 15 for the emulator, 25 for the
and 35.
And 35 hours. So there's
there's a lot going on in there, and it's every solder, every connection is soldered. And Rodney also tests everything very thoroughly.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of work involved there. I mean, if 3 or 4 days there, of a regular working day just to produce a unit. I think it shows though, which is why you see so many people looking at them and I guess trying to make a decision. And I think based on what we tell people and what they've seen themselves as well, you can really see that difference when you get the product in your hand. And it's very easy to use. What do you think, Sasha?
Yeah, I think it's really easy to use.
I mean, there you go. We've got a 7, nearly 8-year-old who's checking continuity. Yes, she's got an interest, but she has her little routine of when she turns it on, making sure, vehicles are not on the track regardless, making sure the switch is in center point and then moving it across. So, I think it's really cool. I have a question for you, actually. I think it's on Sasha's list as well. Is there an option to do 4 lanes with any of the units? That was one of the things that I wanted to check with you.
Very good question. Several people who have asked that. When we discuss using 4 lanes, it seems to us that there's rarely a good reason on a digital track to have 4 lanes. Being 3+ switches away from the pit lane, for example, is a disadvantage.
Definitely.
And if you have the choice of all 4 lanes to drive in, most drivers will stay in their favorite lane. So we haven't seen a big demand for full 4-lane capability. What most people have done when they want to run, if I had more space in the clubhouse here, I would like to have a 4-lane track. for 4-lane analog. And if we made 2 of those lanes digital, we'd have 6-driver digital. When you go to 4 lanes, you still have only 6-driver digital. You can't have it doesn't make it a 12-driver track, because if the lanes connect, it's still limited to 6. So if you do a 2-lane digital with a 2-lane analog alongside, when you throw the switch on the Omni Slot Box, you have 4-lane analog, and when you're in digital mode, you have 2 lanes, but you still have 6 drivers. So that's what we thought most people would be satisfied with. As it turns out, there are some people who actually do like full-time 4-lane digital. If it works for them and they love it, then we're, that's fine with us. And the new project on Rodney's bench is a 4-lane Omni Slot Box. So that one will let you run 4 lanes of digital and 4 lanes of analog. So that will be the next in line. It'll probably be, we don't know exactly what the cost will be. It'll probably be about $200 more than the standard box. But it will have that capability for those that really want it.
Yeah, awesome. No, I think it's good. We were asked the question. I mean, personally, we didn't have any requirement for it, but it was mentioned to me a couple of times, and I said, okay, well, good opportunity to ask the question. So nice.
Well, I can see, a lot of people do like to have a 4-lane analog track. Obviously, you can do, rotation race where everybody drives every lane on a 2-lane track. But it's nice to have 4 at a time. The downside, of course, is that a 4-lane track just really kind of needs to be bigger or simpler. So it's a question of space. But if someone wants 4-lane where all 4 are digital, we're going to get there. We're going to do it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think that's the questions that Sasha had sort of written down, but it'd be great, I guess, from my perspective, and I guess viewers as well, just to get a bit of a feel, I guess, for what other endeavors you're involved in. I know, Jim, that you've got a lot of custom cars and various things like that. So it'd be great if you didn't mind even giving us a look at your track or some of those cars.
Yeah, let's take a little bit of a tour. I'll do my best to move the camera around. Here in the clubhouse, this is Grand Prix, our first track that we developed the Omni Slot Box on.
Nice track.
Can you see it okay? All right. So we have both TrackMate and Smart Race running at all times. And we have 6 digital controllers and 2 slotted analog controllers connected at all times. And we just throw the switch to go back and forth. Now, because we have club racing here, I do 2 open house events a month where beginners or anyone can come in, and we have a set of 6 GT cars that we can race digital. We have a set of 6 NASCARs that are set up a little differently. I've got a fleet of police cars to keep people honest. Those are all run as autonomous cars. These are the house cars that we use for open house club racing, and we'll of course use Smart Race for that. And then we throw the switch, and we have a variety of analog cars to run as well. The club racing involves, for the club racing, we're running digital Carrera GTs with the magnets removed, better tires. So that's one of the club series. The other one is we're running H&R brass chassis 124 scale cars.
Nice.
Onto which you can put any kind of a body. These are bodied H&R, as are these.
Yeah.
So these are all club style cars. Let me demonstrate a thing or two. So if we take a standard Scalextric car, for example.
Yeah.
And we start TrackMate. Whoop. That one's got dirty braid. Let me fix that. Yeah. Huh. Let me try another car. That one is not behaving. All right, we'll try.
Electric cars were hard to keep going.
Well, no, that one just was used on an event and it's just dirty.
Yeah.
So here's a slightly modified Carrera car. It's got a I think this one has a 25K motor in it, so it's got a bit more horsepower than really should be used in digital, but they're fun to drive.
Yeah.
But the club cars that we run.
That's H&R chassis, Jim?
This is H&R. These are a whole different animal.
What kind of motor is in that one, Jim?
Yeah.
This one, since most of the club guys are fairly new, we went with the very mild 13.5K motor, running them at 16 volts. So it's the mildest version of this car with a narrow silicon tire. But we find they run very well. The lap times are comparable to some of the best magnet cars, but they're a lot of fun to drive, and it gives the club guys something to do besides just buy and drive. You know, the bodies generally start as model kits, and we actually we're members of a local model club, and the model club guys come over on race day and judge the bodies, and that's part of the score.
Excellent.
Now here's a typical commercial track car. This has a Falcon 7 in it, foam tires.
Okay. That looks quick.
Yeah. I need some color there.
That's an animal, Jim.
So this one is easily 2 seconds a lap faster than any of the plastic cars.
Yeah.
Rodney, you want to take that for a few laps? No.
You do that with me. Videos.
I like the
So as you can see, it's a whole different thing.
Yes.
And that's kind of the point of the Omni Slot Box for me is this is a different experience than driving the other cars. So,
definitely.
And then, of course, I have a big collection of vintage cars, and many people know, for example, the La Cucaracha, famous vintage car. But the motors in the vintage cars are not as efficient as the modern ones. Rodney, you want to take a couple laps at that? And it's not as fast as the contemporary car, but they're fun to drive also. And if we were watching the meters, we'd be seeing the meters jumping up quite a bit because of the current that these cars use.
Mm.
Yeah, you can see our meters over here. So when Rodney goes down the straight with that car, it hits a 117
Yeah.
on the amp meter. The most a Carrera car draws is about a 0.3.
Yeah, right. So you would be into problems pretty quickly if you were trying to use switcher.
Yeah, you would likely kill a decoder chip with one of those.
Yeah. No,
So
thanks for showing.
Yeah.
We also have this track, our
This
rally track,
single lane.
single lane rally track. This one inspired by the Rally of Monte Carlo.
Nice. Is that a Mini Cooper?
Yes, well, the Mini. This is a model of the Mini Cooper that won the 1967 Rally of Monte Carlo.
Very nice.
It's an appropriate car to drive on this track.
Right up Alan Smith's street, that Mini?
Yeah, he's a big Mini fan.
Sure.
These are all cars that are set up for the rally track.
Nice.
But so this is one of the experiences we offer the club people, is everyone gets 10 laps on this track for their best
Cool.
time. And then we do a drag race on the Hot Wheels track. Rodney, you want to join me for a quick drag race?
Yeah, cool.
Let's stage them. Okay, stage yours, Rodney.
Very cool.
All right, here comes the treat.
Oh.
Here we go.
Nice.
So we do have. So Sasha, have you done any drag racing?
Yeah. Russ has one. I went there.
Well, it's funny. Russell Cox over at Scale Auto Racing here in Houston, a lovely guy, and they have a setup like that at the club. And I put a short up just of Sasha racing on it, and it was like, has nearly 8,000 views already. It's amazing. I don't think a lot of people even realize that you have that setup, that you can drag race these cars, and it's great fun. Yep.
So we've got our little prize table here. We collect prizes every week for the club guys. Oh, and you mentioned the art in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
I like to have paintings with the matching slot cars.
Oh, I love it.
I'm a big fan of motorsports history, so we have various cars with the matching slot cars.
Very nice indeed.
Like over here, these are pictures of cars that in the real world got airborne.
Yeah, that's awesome. 911 GT.
Yeah. So matching cars. So shall we go to the workshop?
Yeah, that'd be great.
We have space for them to work on their cars, and some product for them to buy if they like.
Nice.
All this stuff here is for sale.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of what's here are my personal collection, and I think that there are about 1,500, but it really kind of depends on how you count them, because there's so many projects in boxes that are not complete. I don't know whether you count those or not. So, Sasha, do you have your first slot car?
What?
Do you have your first slot car?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
What's your first slot car?
My Carrera Mercedes blue.
C63 124 scale. Yeah.
Oh, big one. My first slot car was really small. It was this one right here, this little HO scale Corvette.
Cool.
And That was in, I got that slot car when I was 10 years old.
Oh,
And you still have it. That's great because I wish I still had the first scale Extric and Mini Cooper set that we had.
Well, I was one of those weird kids that took care of my toys, so I still have my first slot car and most of them since. Because my rule was if I won a race, then I was allowed to buy another. I wasn't allowed to buy another car until I won a race. But when I won a race, I would retire the car that I had raced before.
Yeah.
So that because I found out that if I kept winning races, and I have won a few.
Yeah.
That if I kept winning, that people didn't want to race with me anymore. So if I changed cars, I could kind of start over, and it seemed more fair, and it was more interesting, and ended up with more cars.
Yeah. Well,
So these are some of my favorite Hot Wheels and some of my HO cars.
Nice.
And then some of my favorite die casts.
Beautiful.
I have a library of slot car books.
Wow.
Those are some of my favorite books. I have flyers that I give out all the time and business cards to the club members. These are some of the cars that the club guys have built.
Yep. Very nice.
And we have
That's
parts and parts and bodies for them to build more.
Nice.
These are all hand-built cars from the 1960s.
oh wow.
All GT cars.
Lovely.
There's midgets and sprint cars and other assorted stuff. Some of my drag cars. Most of the drag cars start out as a model kit.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one I built from, there's the model.
Yeah.
And there's its chassis.
Can you just hold that one up a little bit there, Jim? It's just underneath your...
Is that better?
Can't see it there now at all. Yeah, there I can. Yeah. Cool.
So the drag chassis are very flexible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't have any drag.
Very heavy up front.
Mm.
So these are some of the drag cars. There's quite an assortment there. Oh, here comes Spider. Hi, Spider.
Workshop assistant.
Yes. Well, he's in charge. So he thinks. So these are a lot of handmade, all 60s era cars.
Yeah.
Everything from wing cars like this one. Pretty aggressive wing car.
Cool. Those things are like rocket ships.
Yes. And to some of the real collectible classics like the Manta Ray.
Nice.
This is not the classic Manta Ray, but the NPC one, which is
not easy to come by those now.
No. This is my first big slot car.
Mm-hmm.
That one's been restored. More 60s era stuff here. So on this HO track, Rodney's driving probably my second car, this little HO car, this
Cool.
little hot rod. He's still fun. And I think my most recent purchase is the red Ford GT.
Nice. That was actually my next question. Was what was your latest purchase, both of you?
Yeah.
Car wise.
Well, recently, because I have this new HO track, I've started to buy some HO stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, HO cars, if we add a tube to the pin and flip the axle so that they run in the opposite to normal direction, they will run on an analog track with Omni Slot Box or any analog track. So I've always had some HO out there, but now I've got this little track, and I'm starting to run some more of those.
Yeah.
But of course, there's always cars on the bench This is a project I'm currently working on. So this uses 3 of the large 3060 motors that were popular in the 60s. The body is clear. I haven't painted it yet, but this will be a real locomotive on the drag track.
Yeah, that'll be a serious weapon.
Yeah.
Just for fun. Of course, I have a lot of tools.
Nicely organized. I like that.
You know, you got to have all the lotions and potions and stuff. Some of my favorite slot cars are in the boxes here ready to go. And of course, the boxes have stickers from various races I've been in.
Cool.
I like retro cars.
Yeah.
Like this. That's a hand-painted body and a wire chassis.
Can you hold that up a little bit, Jim? We can't see that there. Yeah. Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah. Ah, nice.
Here's a
cool.
So this car is all made from tubing. The chassis is tubing. The body is from a model kit.
Very nice. A lot of work gone into that.
Yeah.
And this one uses all vintage parts, so it's eligible to race in races where you have to use vintage parts.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's a nice looking vehicle. I like the tubular chassis. That's very interesting.
Of course, you got to have a Batmobile.
The Batmobile class.
But this is, of course, 1/24 scale, and it's using I think this is a play-fit chassis.
Okay.
Runs very nicely.
Cool. Is that from a model kit as well, the body?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how do you find, are they robust, some of those kits, or are they, I mean, really,
talking to the model club guys, I go to the model club meetings, I invite them to come and race slot cars, and they rarely ever actually come out. And so I went to one of the meetings and I said, I know you guys think you can't do this. You're afraid you won't be able to drive the cars. You're going to crash them. But you're all really good with airbrushes. And if you can fly an airbrush, you can certainly handle a controller.
Yeah.
And I know you think that you're going to build a car and it's going to get broken immediately when you crash into the corner.
Yeah.
And I said, well, here's one of our cars that we race. And I threw it up in the air about 6 feet, and it landed back on the table. And I said, see, they're fine. Don't worry about crashing them.
Yeah.
And so there are a couple little things that you can do to reinforce them using a little bit of epoxy on the inside.
Yeah.
But basically, the model kit bodies hold up well. Now, part of the reason that I think that we're able to have so much fun with model kit bodied cars and the vintage cars is that my track is specifically designed to be kind to cars. Because it's only 2 lanes wide, when you come out of the slot, you're running parallel to a wall that's nearby.
Yeah.
And so you never really hit a wall hard because of that. And because it's only 2 lanes, there's also much less chance of you being struck by another car.
Yeah.
On a commercial 8-lane track, if you're on the inside lane in the bank and you come off, by the time you get to the wall, you hit it straight on. Then when you're sliding back across the track, you've got 8 opportunities to get T-boned by somebody else.
Yeah.
So I understand how cars can get damaged on 8-lane commercial tracks, but on a properly built club track, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the layout, doesn't it? I mean, our layout as well, it's very little risk of damage, to be honest. We've never had a car actually come off it. So if you have it set up right, I think it's it certainly makes a big difference.
Yes, Yeah, I think the track can make the difference in letting you play with your favorite cars with
Yeah.
not too much fear of damage.
Yeah, that's an awesome setup you've got there. It's really cool to see the workshop and some of the collection and everything. It's always nice to see a bit behind the scenes and outside of your sort of main endeavor, which is obviously the Omni Slot Box and Nomad Raceways.
Yeah, Nomad Raceways is busy again. I was in South Carolina. I went to Charlotte and did an event in the convention hall next to the NASCAR museum and Hall of Fame. Then I was in Tennessee, Chicago,
Cool.
California, Arizona. We get around.
Cool.
I have 11 different tracks. We have different tracks for different types of events and situations. So that's still a big part of what I do.
Yeah.
Um,
And how does, just for people, I guess, then who maybe might be interested in, obviously with the Omni Slot Box, it's omnislotbox.com, and you've got a store on there. Okay, folks, so here is the gym's website, omnislotbox.com. As you can see, there's quite a number of products, everything from full tracks to chassis to controllers, power supplies, you name it. And here is the section for the Omni Slot Boxes. We see the first full bore version, which we have, the XMR, and then the new emulator. And just so that go in here, give you a quick look. Very nice and tidy, pre-wired, CU modified. I think this is an excellent option. If somebody's interested in, I guess, hiring out a track, for example, for an event, how would they go about doing that, or how would they get in touch?
Yeah, that's nomadraceways.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll pop that up on the video as well and put a link in the description for people so they can follow on with it. Yeah, I think it's great. Thanks very much for chatting to us and showing us through the different versions of the Omni Slot Box and showing us the behind the scenes, the nerve center, as we say. That's what we're seeing now.
All right. Well, I try and visit slot car tracks wherever I go. I try to introduce new people to the hobby as often as I can. And I always invite people to visit us. So if you get a chance, do come.
Certainly will.
I like to share what I have here with people.
Yeah, well, we would love that. He's front and center now. He's like, okay, this is my place. I'm taking over this.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a retired show cat, so he's a bit of a prima donna here. He expects to be the center of attention. Oh, we have another drag strip. Rodney, should we do a drag race?
No, that's cool.
All right, look out, spider.
Cool. Very nice. Okay, well, I guess we better wrap it up there for the day. I think that was great chat, and we certainly really enjoyed chatting to you guys and seeing the different offerings. I think it's exciting that you've got the third emulator version as well, which caters for all people really. So yeah, it's very cool. Nice to meet you too, Rodney.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Well, as always.
So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.